And we're rolling episode 567, the second of the day of Crash and Burn. My name is Justin Severson. Get to do this each and every week with a headliner. This week it's 4 headliners doing 20 minutes of new material. I already recorded one today. Second one is with Tim Slagle and Emma Willmann. Tim Slagle, of course, the godfather of Crash and Burn.
Crash and Burn, the 13th.
The 13th.
Have we done podcasts for everyone?
I'm trying to remember if we did them in the first. We might have missed 1 year, honestly. I think we might have missed the first year, but other than that, every time. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, does not seem that long.
No.
13 of these now.
No, I was trying to think back of some of the names. There's been a few that have done it twice, but they've kind of like fill-ins. But otherwise,
Yeah, usually, yeah. They say if anyone got to do it twice, it's because they really, really wanted to do it again, and they had the week open when somebody dropped out.
Yeah.
So
Emma has never done it, obviously.
First time.
First time. How did you get here? How did you find out about Crash and Burn?
So Tim had reached out to me, I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe.
yeah, Carmen, I think.
Yes.
I
and
hooked up with you through Carmen. She gave me some names. I looked at your stuff, cracked me up. And
I
went,
appreciate
okay,
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 4 years ago, and then we were all set to do it. We did the podcast, ready to go. I was excited, and then I got a line. I got cast in something. Which, when he introduced me last night, did you really think I was lying about that?
No.
Oh,
Did it sound like
No,
it?
I thought I couldn't tell if you were serious. I couldn't tell if you were serious. That would have been a crazy thing to.
No.
Tell people who weren't here how you were introduced by Tim last night.
He said a bunch of nice things. And he said she was supposed to do it before, but then she said she got cast in something, and I thought she was lying. And then
I didn't say that.
I thought that's what you said.
No, I said.
Did I mishear you?
I might have.
Maybe I blacked out because I was so
Apparently
nervous.
she
That's
got
what I heard.
cast, yeah.
Right.
No. I said you got cast in something, but I thought that you didn't want to do it.
Oh.
So I didn't think you were lying about
Got
being
it.
cast. I thought you got cast in something and said, "I'm too big for this now." That's which I think is worse. Actually,
Isn't that funny where our
It's
brain
worse than
goes?
lying.
Totally. That'd be that. But that is so exactly where I relate to that. Like where my brain would go if someone did that too. I'd be like, oh, they think I'm an idiot. They hate my mom just because they got whatever it is. Like you go right to the. But that was what happened, and then
Just real quick, what was the movie though?
it was originally called Inappropriate Behavior, and then it was called Ezra. And I'll tell you this. So I did it then. That's when it filmed. So it must have been coming, it was like we're just coming out of COVID. I remember that. And we film it. Bobby Cannavale was in it. And it just got released recently. But I thought I got cut. Because, I've never done an acting thing like this. Like the time, there's a whole different ways to work into the time. But it was quite a while from when we filmed it to when it aired. And I had looked it up, and it wasn't popping up in my IMDb, which is like this little thing that says like acting notices. So I thought I got cut. So I was like, great, this is an opportunity for me to implement therapy, self-care stuff. So I said, it's okay. It is what it is. I do the whole processing of it, and then whatever. And then 2 days later, I got a couple messages from people like, oh, I saw I didn't get cut. But I was convinced I got cut, didn't get cut, and it just aired, I think, 5-6 months ago. It was about Bobby Cannavale. He's a stand-up comic. He has an autistic son, and he kidnaps him.
Okay.
And I played a comic in it.
There are a few comics in it besides you, right?
Yeah, Dove Davidoff was in it. Greer Barnes was in it. And if I'm forgetting some, Whoopi Goldberg was in it.
Were you filmed in a comedy club?
They recreated one.
Oh, recreated one.
And Whoopi Goldberg wasn't playing a comedian, but I met her. But I
I don't think she ever has.
No. I've never seen her one-person show. I would like to see it. But I got kind of starstruck from her.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's those people.
Got that aura.
It's just so surreal because it's like they're, when someone you saw on TV as a kid, that'll do
As
it
a
for
kid,
me.
yeah, that does it.
And she came in, and the producer and the director, said, this is Whoopi, and I know someone that we have a mutual friend, and ordinarily I would have said, I'm also friends with Regina, but because I was starstruck, I didn't even say hi.
What?
I just stared ahead. I got nervous.
You blew it.
I blew it.
Yeah.
Because, when you don't want to seem like you want something from the person. I try to be friendlier and have good manners, but I become rude if I don't. It's like I overcorrect. So he said, this is Whoopi, and I went,
who?
yeah. Never heard of her.
Not impressed.
Yeah.
Not impressed.
No, it isn't. So I didn't say anything, and there's plenty of opportunity because, you sit around a lot.
Wasn't De Niro in the movie as well?
He was, but I didn't get to meet him.
Ah.
Oh, my God. I would have been so starstruck by that.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
And you would have had that whole thing, do I call him Bobby? Like I hear people on TV, right?
I wouldn't
Bob?
even, I wouldn't have even gotten that far. I think I just would have wanted to, I don't know. I think I would have just wanted to touch him.
Yeah.
Just do a little poke,
Well,
you know?
it'd be more like this.
Is he really short?
That's what I hear.
I would do a little, like, the only reason I didn't, with Bobby Cannavale, I wasn't as familiar with him, but then when I saw him acting on set, he's such a good actor that I was, like, starstruck by the end of it.
Yeah.
What would you have said to Robert De Niro? Or Bobby?
Call and leave a voicemail for me or something. Like
Yeah.
play for people.
Right.
Yeah, something dumb like that. And a picture, and yeah, I don't know. It would-
You
what
would've
I
gone
would do
in.
is, what I would do is go, Bobby, it's good to see you again, and just make him go.
I bet he'd go, oh, good to see you. You know, he would have.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
He would have gone.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wouldn't. Doesn't strike me as one of those people that's like, actually, we haven't met or something like that.
Oh God,
But-
you could have a 10-minute conversation, a vague conversation about these Hollywood memories that neither of you. Yeah. You
Right.
definitely could have had that.
But that was so we didn't get to do it, and then I was writing and working on stuff, and I was like, I gotta work on some new stuff, and then I remembered this, and so I emailed Tim, and I was like, hey, I would love to.
And it was just serendipitous.
Yep.
Because they were there. It was she hit me on the second fallout. Because I had one comic, and then he was too busy with election season, and then I had another comic who got a day job.
oh yeah.
And then
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
happens.
the email came, and it was like, hey.
Because it wasn't even that long ago. I don't think it was a couple
Uh-uh.
months ago. Yeah, and I was like, if you're still doing it, he was like, actually, I'd love to do it. And he said, well, if you're free on these dates, and I was
Bam,
like,
it
that
was
would be
in.
perfect.
Isn't that it? So
Yeah.
you weren't going to ask again. That's interesting.
I was banned.
No, I wasn't going to ask again until she asked.
Yeah.
That's what if somebody cancels, then they have to ask again because
Fair.
I don't
That
know
makes
if
sense.
I don't know
Yeah.
if they canceled because
Totally.
Yeah.
they chickened out or not because
Right.
I think I've had a few that have chickened out that say yeah I can do it and then like 20 minutes new. All new?
It is the all new does make a big difference.
Erica was so funny last night. She's just
Both
so
her and
yeah,
I got
that's why
really nervous.
I already recorded with Erica and Tony,
we
and
both
the,
were really nervous.
Yeah.
the opposite.
you didn't show like she did. I
Really?
could see I could see she was nervous.
Oh, that's so
you were
fun.
kind of like being kind of sarcastic about it, like I'm just gonna.
I think that was probably just I don't know. I was like disassociating that because I was nervous when I saw that Tony had all of his 27 pages typed out because
typed out.
You know what it was too? It was thinking about it. I was thinking, okay, new material, and then when I said, "You idiot," to myself, going, "You idiot," because it's like new material means new things that you think could be material, not 100%. You don't have any ideas that you're coming up with. Because I was thinking, oh, I'll come out free flow of. I know that's not how it works, too. So I did have a bunch of things that I had like jotted down, but when I saw his printed pages, I thought. And then, you kind of, I don't know if you get this, you get an existential crisis because then you go, well, what do I want to talk about? What's my life? Do I have a life? What am I doing with my life? So
Yeah, it came out great. You just kind of did stream of consciousness. It was wonderful.
I appreciate
wonderful
that.
To watch.
In my notes, I have a thing here about Emma. Your confidence level was like a 10 out of 10. That's how I felt. It was like
and that's kudos then I think to the audience and the space too because they really do make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is that's sometimes when you're leaving a show and you say to you say you guys were great and they're kind of like what and it's like no trust me you guys were also and it's a very different vibe from in New York understandably even it's maybe not in the new joke nights but there's very much like a tempo of and maybe that's just how I'll feel like the vibe of them looking at you is very like let's go like right now it doesn't feel as this definitely felt like very encouraging
Yeah,
and
there's that Minnesota aspect.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, God love you, you tried.
right exactly
I paid $40 for this.
so. The closest thing you've done to this in New York, where you live, home base for
Mm-hmm. Yep.
comedy for you, is these new comedy nights, which I've heard of, right?
So it's just popped up in the past 2 or 3 years where like big clubs, the Cellar does it, West Side Comedy Club does it, New York Comedy Club does it. They will do new joke nights. And it's interesting too because it's like, for someone who's not like a comedy fan, they might think all nights are new joke nights. I
Right.
did before I knew anything about comedy.
Sure.
So
Okay.
it's like, it's a different, like concept of them being like, then they get there and you're like, okay, no, this is really new jokes. And then the host kind of will explain it, but you do 5 minutes, which is very different. And when I do those ones, usually I'll do something I've done before. Up top, just up top.
Yep.
So with this, we weren't doing that.
I think the audience is more sophisticated now than they were, 10, 20 years ago. That knowing that it's a routine and
Right.
and that you repeat it. Because with the internet, people today, today's comedy audience is more sophisticated than it ever has been.
Oh, that's very
And I
true.
don't think it's any secret that there's a routine. Whereas when I started, it was like that was our magic act.
Sure.
It was trying to make it sound like you just thought of it on the spot.
Absolutely. I mean, that's like a huge part of the element. And you remember when that, I don't know if you guys remember this, but remember when that bubble pops? I remember when it popped. For me, had just started doing comedy, and I saw this guy, Corey Rodriguez, this really funny comic in Boston, and he had a joke where he said something, he had just gone to the grocery store, and I was like, I saw him 2 months ago, he just went to the grocery store. And I was like, oh my God.
You mean I don't have to write new stuff every
Right.
week?
And then I talked to him about it. He was like, yeah. He's like, that is something I'm working on. And then he kind of took me aside. He goes, look. He's like, he kind of like showed me a little bit how to structure stuff as much as he could at the time.
You're
but-
saying the other day doesn't always mean the other day?
you know.
There was a cat when I started, Joe Napodi, and he had this one bit where somebody in the audience would just happen to have a big hat on, and he would take the hat on stage and make jokes about the hat, and it was I didn't know how he did it. And then
Right.
somebody said, well, he just he goes to the line out in front of the show and said, hey, will you put this hat on and wear it in the club for me?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Which it's a little bit more than going to the grocery store last week.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say.
Also, I don't know why that shocked me so much too, because people do go to the grocery. I go to the grocery store like 4 times a week, so I don't know. I was like, wait up, this guy.
Sometimes twice in one day.
Right. Do you think it makes people like more of a novelty or less of a novelty now that they know that we repeat ourselves a lot?
I think it's I think it's better.
Yeah.
It's because they appreciate the art form more.
Right.
That they know that it's
Yeah, there's like less shock.
yeah, just like the guy on stage doesn't really have magical powers.
Right.
Yeah. It makes it more impressive when it sounds like it's off the cuff.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
But in some ways I find it more impressive too when you see how much someone. Then it's like when you get really into it, you're like, oh, it's more impressive how much you have to go through to get something to sound
Absolutely.
cohesive.
So along those lines, I asked the last group this question as well. When you first started, like this week, you're trying to come up with 20 new minutes. When you first started comedy, how long did it take to have 20 minutes of material?
A long well, when I very first started, I don't know if you had this, I felt like when I really, really first started, I was almost more creative because I wasn't bound by like the pressure of like trying so hard to like, I didn't, I'm sure the 20 minutes I thought was 20 minutes wasn't 20 minutes, but in terms of like my process for free writing, I could come up with stuff quicker. And then it's almost gotten slower over the years because my filtration system of heard it, did it, blah, has gotten almost a little too critical. So now I'm trying to step back from that and just be like more, less pressurized and open to the process. But I would say, 20 minutes, 3, 4 years, 5 years. I still don't have 20 minutes.
That's right.
You
I
never
don't have
feel
20 good minutes. No.
a long time, quite a while. If we even too, it's like just coming up. There's coming up because once you get into the 20 minutes bracket, it's like there's coming up with a joke, but then there's also coming up with like the new areas to explore too.
Yeah.
And see where you like what you gravitate towards to then be able to write about.
How are you with the writing process of doing it with other people? Like I know you guys already did it once last night, got together and you do the writing sessions. And then Thursday night,
we will invite the audience to stay after the show, and they can actually see a writing session.
Oh,
So
cool. Right.
That's always. I forgot to announce that after the show last night. And it would have been a good night to do it because there are a lot of fans there.
Yeah.
So that was a bad miscast. So I hope you're watching today. And
Spread the word.
and it's free. You don't have to pay to see the show Thursday to come after the after show is free, so anybody can come in and sit down and watch. And there was one time, and I probably mentioned this before, none of the comics wanted to tell me that I was doing something really hack all week. Did it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They let me do it, and then someone in the audience actually said, "I've heard that before," and I went, "Thank you."
Had they all been talking about it?
I don't know, but how could an audience member know it was
Right.
hack and 3 comics didn't?
Maybe they thought you were gonna like pull through or change it or something.
Well, they could have asked me.
Do you hold a
Why
resentment?
are you doing a hack bit?
How hacky was? I'm so curious.
It's real hack. It's very. I'm embarrassed to even say what the joke was when I
Let's just
thought
say his
about it.
arms were tired.
Right. If that's fair, that would be really. That's fair. That's fair.
Absolutely.
I like writing with other people because it helps me helps me focus, helps set aside the time, and then talking to someone else. I personally too. I'm very much like looking at it on the paper. So I like me taking a note, and then my short-term memory is not very good. But so if I take a note while they're on, I like doing it that way, and then it also helps me like prompt stuff for myself. So I like setting aside the time like that. Really helps me focus.
Both Erica and Tony said that they write every day.
Good for them. Good for them. Good for them. Good. That's good.
How about you?
I don't sit down and write every day, but definitely I will be like jotting notes down every day. And I would say, when I'm like out doing comedy, once I get those creative juices cranking, then I will. I could say I do write every day in a way, but I don't do designated sit down and write time. But I do that now. My method of doing that is like when I'm reviewing sets to edit for clips, I'll usually start and then stop and then try to write around that.
Oh.
But getting a little bit more disciplined with a writing schedule is something that I'm trying to work on.
Okay.
Especially and balancing out the amount of writing and performing time, because I do think that's one thing with New York. You're in New York, you could be performing from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. It can be, so then it's like, okay, we need to balance this out with also writing and editing time.
I see. What did your notes look like on stage last night?
Pretty messy. So I'm gonna type them up tonight, this afternoon. But pretty
Full jokes, just words?
no. So I wrote out some like little like buttons that I wanted to hit on, but that did help me kind of get off on a free flow of ideas, which was good. But I'm gonna write it out a little bit more structured tonight, because the way Tony did that and you did that was great too.
Tony also just said when we were recording that he's going to do different stuff tonight.
Ooh.
Wow.
Right.
He's got another 27 pages.
I mean, the guy's been saving this stuff forever,
Right.
apparently.
I
Yeah.
completely understand that methodology of it too. That is a smart way.
Yeah.
That's a smart way to do it.
I only got through 13 pages last night of my 24.
So what do
I
you
don't
got? How
think
about you
that-
for tonight?
Revisit
some of that.
I'm going to revisit it all. Yeah, then I'll save the other 13 pages for next year.
Sure.
Put that away.
Talk about
Those-
planning
that's-
ahead.
I think I got enough from out of those 13 for this year. So it's
And your process throughout the year, you're saving little things for yourself for this, or
I wish I was that disciplined.
so where did this stuff come from?
I was
then?
going to say, do you write every day? Oh yeah, I've written every day for 2 hours straight.
I'm
for
writing
the
right
past
now.
week.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other 50 weeks, nothing. And then
It does come in spurts like that. I will find that. Like when I
I
get
had to force this spurt though. for me.
and that's what I'd think of it like going to the gym too. Like there's motivation and then there's discipline, and the more I learn about like life and people doing stuff, motivation seems like a real moot point, because you can't count on motivation really maybe twice a year.
I was panicking so much I had to go to a coffee store and didn't ask for the password. so that I could not be distracted.
Oh yes,
So it was-
sure,
yeah. So it was,
absolutely.
I've actually got an old Macintosh Power PC, I think is what it's called. It's a laptop about that.
Won't connect
thick.
to the internet.
Will not connect to the internet.
That's key.
And I said, this I should make this, and it's really nice because it's got an old like IBM clickety keyboard, so it feels like a
Satisfying.
typewriter. And I said, that's what I'm going to make this my writing computer. I'm going to take this places when I just want to write.
That's so smart.
But because it has no internet, I have no idea how to take what I've written on there off.
I can show you. I think you can just get a plug-in thing.
No, because
Oh.
it's before USB. There was no USB functionality to it.
You're going to have to do a screenshot with your iPhone and then do that copy thing where you like highlight the words and then put it on a different page and
Right.
then paste it onto another one and then print that out.
So it's kind of like a Helen Keller laptop right now. It cannot communicate. It has no way of communicating with the outside world. But all the thoughts can go in there.
Right.
But they can never get out.
There's an app that I'll use that will like shut off all social media stuff. Like, and they've got a few apps that do that. And then there's this thing called, it's like Brick, and you like tap your phone and then it makes it so you can't get on any socials.
You've done that?
I've done it. I have done it. And that built-in like thing where then you have to think about it, because I'm very compulsive now with Reddit. Do you do Reddit?
I love Reddit.
I love Reddit.
Yeah.
I used to be Instagram, used to be TikTok, but now Reddit, I'm just on Reddit constantly. So I'll do
So many topics.
so many topics, and it gets so curated.
Yes.
So curated.
Anyway,
But so now I'll try to like make it so I don't get any apps, but I will also, like, if I listen to a recording, that will help me like just get into that zone too.
Interesting.
A recording of yourself?
Mhm.
Okay.
That will help. I'll listen to like an older recording. Adrenaline does a lot for me too if I'm like trying to prepare for something, or like, but I do it really, what's so different about 20 minutes is like I'll do it really in bits and pieces where I'll be doing it. Usually I'm just trying to like extend something I already have. So 20 minutes is like a very different exercise, I think.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Last night on stage, you talked about something. Boy, you said it, and I was like, "Holy crap! Do I relate to that?" When you're on the street, and like the hand conversation between you and a car, whether you're the
Sure.
walker or I'm normally the person in the car, and I'm waiting for the acknowledgement. In the Twin Cities here, there's a lot of these, crosswalks. That there's no light, but it's the little sign. You have to stop when someone's about to stop, especially right along the river here by the club here. And when I stop for somebody, if they don't fucking give me the what's up with their hand, I'm like, I could have ran you over, you MFer.
Especially if there's no stoplight.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd have a really hard time with that.
Yes.
I'm always walking. I don't know if it's from being from a small town or what, but I always do that. And I caught myself doing it the other day because I crossed the street and then I was like, and then I saw this one person that was going to go, and then they stopped. So they're kind of like halfway through the stoplight. So I kind of went back and did the little thank you. And then I was thinking, like, where I was trying to explore it last night, it's like, what am I thanking them for? Why do I get so upset when someone doesn't do that? I think the nucleus of it is because it shows, it's minimal effort
Yes.
to have
Yes,
a
yes,
nice
yes.
thing. And there's so few things that we can do that are like transient of everything that are just, and it's like, if you're not doing that minimal effort, then what are we doing out here?
Completely agree with
Yeah.
you. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it could be maybe that wasn't a cultural thing where I know in Maine that's what you do.
Yeah.
And in Boston it was as well, but Boston was they're probably scared. It was like, please don't hit me. But in Maine we would always do that. So that was a fun thing to
My
kind of
sister
just go off
doesn't
on.
do it. What she does when I'm walking across and they have to stop, she turns to me. She goes, "They have to stop. It's the law."
Interesting.
So that's her.
You can't repeat that once you've been run over, though. That's the problem.
Right.
I've heard that in Scandinavian countries that if you're crossing outside the crosswalk and you get hit, that you're at fault and you have to pay for the damage to the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would
Wow.
cripple New York City.
That would cripple New York City.
That's,
Wow.
kind of interesting.
I would be open to trying something like that.
He didn't wave, Your Honor.
I mean,
Ditto.
it's always a slippery slope with that stuff. And then you have to trust that people are going to like actually like interact, like, you know, not interact, enable it or whatever, do it fairly. But I'd be open to it.
Yeah.
To try it
I
out.
also need to point out that on stage last night you used a very big word, and I had to write it down and be like, I'm pretty sure I know what this means. Incongruent.
Yes. Incongruent, like it's not matching
Not
up.
matching
yeah.
up.
Line up, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. My vocabulary is okay, but there are a few. That is a word I use quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that is one. That's like a staple. But
In your view of the world, you see a lot of incongruity.
incongruent. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is not congruent. That is a word I use.
I
A word I use quite a bit.
I may start using it more. It fits.
Yeah, it fits a
I
lot.
think you might have a title for the new record.
It's incongruent.
Yeah.
Incongruent.
Uh-huh.
Something's amiss.
Mhm.
Something's amiss.
Speaking along those lines, so where, like, besides doing Crash and Burn, where are you, like, in your material right now? Like, if this was just a normal headlining week at a club, like,
So,
are you close to recording? Are you?
So on Monday, so we did first Crash and Burn Tuesday the 8th. And on Monday the 7th, I actually just recorded. I recorded at the Village Underground 55 minutes that I'm just going to be splicing up for social. And then I'm doing a half hour with Don't Tell Comedy in November for their YouTube. And that's going to also be like a remix of that hour that I did. But that is stuff that it's cooked, it's done. I want to totally retire it.
Okay.
So I've got maybe like 8 minutes left that was not included in that, 5 to 8, I would say. That is stuff that I've done forever that I can like try to like build around. But so that's why it was also such perfect timing.
So you think you can get like a 110 30-second bursts out of it?
Out of what I recorded?
Yeah.
So it was interesting. That was what I was thinking going into it too, because my friend Mateo Lane did that a couple years ago. He was like, I just recorded everything I had, and then I started putting that up on a schedule, and then I used that time of not thinking about what I'm going to post in order to just focus on writing a new hour. And he was like, he's like, I didn't go in recording it like the narrative that I would have when I would be headlining. He's like, I went in recording it specifically thinking about posting it. And when he first said that to me, I was like, no way. But then over the years, I mean, he's doing amazing now too, so that
Yes.
helps his case for his advice too.
Yeah.
He's a really good person to listen to. So I was like,
Yeah, it's great promotion, but as far as artists, it's kind of we kind of go into it wanting to do,
of course,
like a whole
whole
hour
thing,
to
right?
come around to a thought.
Well,
know?
because he did that, and then he popped off so much. Now he's recorded
Yeah, now he
3
can. Now he
hours.
can.
Yeah, that
Now he
are
can,
all
yeah.
Full shows. And he was like, take everything that you've said in different areas, and then just like get that so you can like post it. So then you don't even have to be thinking about posting. And I thought, I'm gonna do that. So I
Yeah.
did that on Monday, and then I flew here on Tuesday. And then I'm going to record the Don't Tell thing. Kind of popped up after I had made the date to record that. So I'm going to use some of that material is going to overlap, but I'm really trying to start fresh.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm
Did you ever hear, Tim, about how Liz Mealy, some of her material from Crash and Burn last year, basically made it into her brand new, not the special that's out now, but the one she just recorded?
That's awesome.
I assumed it would. I always try to pop in on the comics. And I popped in on her in Chicago and saw that her chunk was pretty much already in the act.
You did? Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I look at the bits that comics write during Crash and Burn kind of as my godchildren.
Yeah.
So I like to check up on them from time to time.
I think that's great.
It's I think what Tony Deo did. So he's doing a new 12. Because the story that I tell everyone is David Crow.
Oh, yeah, I got to watch him.
Actually, he actually did like a bunch of bits throughout the week and didn't do the same 20. Actually did 45 minutes of bits throughout the week. He scattered them so
That's
that on
right.
Friday and Saturday, second show, he asked to close and was closing with 45 minutes new stuff on
That is impressive.
And then he went on to do a one-person show
he
with
did
it
a
and
one-man
all that.
show in
Yeah.
Edinburgh, and we actually got awards for it.
That's
So
great.
actually, yeah. So he got a one-man show out of Crash.
That's
so I
great.
think when I mentioned that to Tony, that's why Tony said, I'm going to do all new stuff this show.
Oh, I see.
And like he's got 27 pages, and I just looked at it. 13 was what I got through last night. So that's so he's probably got 13 that he didn't get to. So.
Interesting.
You must have it pretty timed out. Where like, okay, one page is about a minute.
No, I don't. But one page is like a bit.
Okay.
It's like is how I do it, and then it's all divided into lines, and then I work from there.
You had one last night, one bit about being of an age of a mall walker, but that we're running out of malls.
That's the one. That's
A mall walker.
Out of
Funny phrase.
out of 27 pages, I think that one joke will be the one that'll be it. That's all I'll get this week.
It was great.
But that one.
I made an online purchase and had to go pick it up at a mall earlier this week.
Ooh.
Holy cow. It's one that's been around since I was a kid. Maplewood Mall in St. Paul, Maplewood, Minnesota, technically. And holy cow, Deadville.
I know.
It's sad.
It's eerie.
But, we're walking, Kohl's. I need to pick up some pants at Kohl's, use my coupon. And we're like, we could just leave immediately. Should we walk around? Let's walk around and see what's still here, right? And it's, every other store is
Spirit
closed.
Halloween.
That's across the street in a different empty. But yeah, same vicinity. They had a more space to fill across the street. I think it was an old bookstore or
This
something.
is Spencer's Gifts now. It's Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, right?
What's going to happen to those malls? They're just going to have to knock them down eventually?
I always thought that it would be a great space. You know how like the warehouses that were abandoned in New York,
Sure,
living spaces.
Right.
And I always thought that malls, when they started like suffering 30 years ago, I was saying, boy, what a great like artist space.
It still smells like Cinnabon.
Cinnabon,
But I mean,
Orange
you
Julius.
could have like one guy live in the theater, and he could have his own movie theater, and he could like run art films. And I mean, it would be a great place for artists to inhabit.
I wonder if it'll come back because maybe people want to start shopping again. You
So
know
the
what I
one-
mean?
I think the one thing that's keeping this place alive is that they occasionally have baseball card shows, like collector shows.
Great.
In the, it'll fill it up with all these people selling stuff. The people will show up.
Because
and buy
people
that.
I don't know if I noticed this in New York. Like, there's more books. There's a Barnes and Noble, and then there's a few bookstores that are like the Strand is always packed. And I still like going to a bookstore. I still like going and like walking around a mall if there is one. It's still a novelty for me. It's still like I didn't grow in Maine. The closest mall was like an hour away, so it's still fun. So maybe people will something to get us off our phones.
Well, I
you
know a lot of them are converting they're like they're like cutting off a portion and turning it into residential. So,
Yeah.
so my idea is but it's not like artists like I imagined when I was a kid.
They were advertising. We walked past the sign a few times. One of the big events that's coming up is Richard. What's his name? Karn? The guy who was Al on the Tim Allen show. His neighbor, the guy that would talk over the fence.
What's he doing?
I don't know, but he's doing an appearance at this mall in November.
That was Richard Kind?
Karn, not. I get the names wrong.
Okay.
Not. Yes. Richard Kind's
that's
another
so
guy.
funny, too, 'cause-
Richard
No,
Karn.
I know Richard
Yeah,
Kind.
Richard Karn.
I would have been shocked if he was the other Wilson on the other side of the fence.
Dick Karn.
But don't they just show part of his face? So couldn't it be?
No, just his hat.
Just his hat.
Could have been anybody.
Yeah, because it could have been.
Eventually, he hosted Family Feud for a little bit.
Right.
In between, their many.
Oh, I
guests.
didn't know
But
that.
he's going. It said free pictures and autographs, 1 to 4 or whatever. So
Wow.
that's what's happening at malls that are half full now. Is 90s TV stars are doing
Whatever will
appearances.
get people out of the getting. I know it's so hard for me to disengage with my phone, so it's like great. Whatever we need to do to keep real world interactions happening, so we don't all forget about them.
True. I know. God, man, we get caught up in that.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow! That's it. I have one question. So you mentioned earlier about using an app to
Yeah, so I've tried a
disengage
few things.
Do you pay for that, or is that a free one?
I think so. The brick thing that I got, it's called a brick, and it's a little brick. I think that was a one-time fee, and I did it after there was I was on Reddit for hours. My eyes are hurting, and I was like, I got to make a change, and then I bought the brick.
So what is it's a device?
It's a little square thing, and if you tap it, you have to have an app connected to it, and you tap it, and then it'll make it so you can basically you can set what you want to be allowed. So I have it set so I can still listen to Spotify and use my Notes app. But other than that, no email, no Reddit, no socials. And you can still get calls. So you can but you have to, then if you want to check something, it'll say, you can't. So then you have to go find the brick and re-tap it. So it's supposed to be a built-in buffer. So you can't just look at it right away.
So you say you have a friend hide it on you?
That is what
Right.
it takes though, because I've had it. If it's too easy, then I just go boop 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 boop, boop and then it doesn't.
Right.
I haven't been great about instituting the thing, but that was something I was gonna try.
Use it as a thing to literally hold your phone.
serious. Yeah. Put my phone right on it. It's sick.
Yep. So we should wrap this up, but I want to. So as I always say, people need, the best thing is to come to more than one of these shows.
Yeah.
If you can, get to one early in the week and then later in the week and see how things change, what's stayed, what's been completely replaced, how they've got better. It's tons of fun. So I encourage people to do that. There's shows nightly to Friday to Saturday.
And Thursday you can give feedback too.
And Thursday after the show, you can hang out and give some feedback
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
to the professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we should be mentioning about it, Tim?
No,
Number
I think that's it.
13?
I think that's it. This is the 13th. We got a page on Facebook, so follow us there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to seeing how things end up on Saturday.
See you then.
Boom.